What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another edition of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in discipline, decency, integrity, and respect. And I'm coming through with another video just for you. Today's video is going to be another reaction video. Not only is it another Clay Kane video, but also Dr. Jason Johnson is a part of this one. So shout out to both of them brothers. We're going to go ahead and get into this one. And it's another one where the subject at hand is Mr. Stephen A. Smith, bless his heart. Usually when somebody talks about Stephen A. Smith, or if he comes out and makes some comments about something, no matter what it is, people are going to talk. And that's what we're going to do here with this video today. I'm going to go ahead and get the screen shared. Fair usage for the video, fair usage. I'm going to have some thoughts on this one. Let's check it out.
So, your man, Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, God.
I just find this so interesting. So he, Michelle Obama was on her podcast, in case y'all missed it. And Michelle Obama was just talking. And she said, because folks are judging her for liking reality shows, right? She says she likes reality shows. And she said, if I listen to ESPN for an hour, it's like watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I mean, you know, it's the same drama. And she said, if I listen to ESPN for an hour, it's like watching The Real Housewives of Atlanta.
How is anybody going to judge her for liking reality TV shows when the sitting president comes from the reality TV show genre? Somebody make that make sense to me. Okay, this is Michelle Obama we talking about, so I guess one would probably say that she's better than that, but reality television, no matter how problematic it is just another form of entertainment. Why should she be judged when millions of people watch it on a weekly basis and have been doing so for a couple of decades now? Make it make sense, y'all.
I mean, you know, it's the same drama. And they're yelling at each other and they don't get along, you know? And then someone else chimes in, one of her guests says, oh, Stephen A. Smith could be a housewife, right? This is a guest chiming in, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then she goes, I mean, Stephen A. Smith, he's just like every other talk show host. That's what's said, right? Stephen A. Smith never wanted to let, you know, anything go.
Oh, God.
He responds,
respectfully disagreed and still remain pretty salty about what you said about us. And I feel even more adamant about what your husband, Barack Obama, said when he talked to those men in Pittsburgh and implied that to not vote for Kamala is because we're engaging in some sort of misogyny. There are issues that matter to every American citizen. And to sort of blackmail us emotionally into trying to compel us to vote one way or another is part of what won Trump the election. Because that side of the aisle was able to look at the left and say, look at what they'll do to win. And y'all talking about him like he's worse. And in a lot of y'all eyes, he is worse.
You see what I'm talking about now? Clay and Jason are going to cook on this one, but let me say a few things because I take issue to pretty much everything that he said. Now, number one, I wouldn't have took Michelle Obama's comments personally. I probably would have chuckled and moved on about my business. Even if I would have commented on it, it would have been brief, but I would have left it alone. Okay. You see how quickly he pivoted to Barack Obama and then made it a political thing about the 2024 election. Y'all see how quickly he did that? And then this whole notion that Barack Obama was talking down to black men leading up to the election. I talked about that then. I'm going to talk about it now. I'm not just saying this because I'm a Democrat or whatever. And in fact, take the Democratic element out of it. He wasn't talking down to black men, okay? And for us, we're comfortable in our masculinity and we take our roles seriously. But on the flip side, when it comes to certain things, when it comes to somebody talking to us, why does it seem like we have to be coddled too? Because white men, with all due respect, they're coddled as it is. So why do we have to be talked to in a certain aspect that even if you say something of a certain nature or a certain caliber, it's talking down to us? I mean, are our feelings that fragile too when it comes to certain things? We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can have somebody tell us what we need to hear as opposed to what we want to hear. And I didn't get that he was talking down to black men. But at the same time, if Trump said the same thing, would that be considered the same thing, or would it be different because it's coming from an entertaining perspective, so we can just laugh at it and not think about it? But if it's coming from Obama or somebody from the other side, it has to be taken seriously. And if you don't say it right, or if you don't say it with such conviction, or if you don't say it with even the slightest hint at entertainment, it's a problem.
At no point in history have we been so clearly able to see a loud, screaming, dramatic queen without a crown. Okay? I wasn't at NABJ last week. Apparently they the NABJ in Cleveland, and they did, First Take from there. And I say this candidly. You and I have had these conversations, off air, whatever else it is. We all have opinions about our colleagues who are Black, who are in these kinds of spaces and do this kind of work. And I have generally tried to be fairly polite about people whose work I may not appreciate, but I try not to criticize people publicly. That being said, good God, I will talk about somebody's specific content. First off, I don't really have a lot of respect for Stephen A. Smith's content. I don't. I can acknowledge his success. I can acknowledge his dominance of a dying television network. But I don't have a lot of respect for his content. I don't think that what he has done for sports talk has been helpful. I think that kind of hot take culture has diminished our ability to talk about sports. He ain't the only one. He's just the person who sort of perfected it. And I think that his foray into politics has been misguided, uninformed, and oftentimes absolutely freaking wrong.
Misguided and very wrong. Very, very true. Very true.
I mean, it's clown behavior. It's absolute clown behavior. And I'll tell you this. I get it. You got a radio show to do 2 or 3 hours a day or whatever it is. Filling in content is difficult. So I understand the challenges that are there. But man, oh man, oh man. Michael Bennett, okay, who is a Super Bowl winning defensive player for the Seattle Seahawks, wrote a book called, if I remember correctly, it was Things That'll Make White People Uncomfortable, something else like that. And he wrote the book with Dave Zirin. He literally has, this is Bennett, this is part of the Legion of Boom, Seattle Seahawks 10 years ago. He had a whole chapter in it where he talked about the fact that sports is just reality TV for men. That's a football player. That's somebody who actually is on the field. So
Right.
Anybody who tries to act like they're insulted by comparing reality TV or Housewives or whatever to sports, that's that. Like you said, that's hit dogs will holler. That's
Right.
your own hit. That's your own hymn showing.
And let me say this too. Not only is Jason correct here, but hell, I'm a longtime wrestling fan, and it's long been said that professional wrestling is like a soap opera for men. So I definitely get what he's saying in that football, in this case the NFL, is reality TV for men. I get where he's coming from.
Under your skirt, right? And I mean that. So, but the problem is, and I think this is the larger issue with what Stephen A. Smith and other people who we have talked about sort of represent in these spaces, is that they're so desperate to remain in public discourse that they will take any statement in or out of context and try to make content out of it. Okay, Stephen A. Smith wouldn't say half the damn stuff he did if he had to sit across from Michelle Obama. She wasn't insulting him. She was simply making a comparison, right? But he lives in a state of perpetual aggrievement because he's a Republican. And, and you notice in the midst of all this stuff, and Michelle Obama might be one of the few Black women in America that even he won't try and say something shady about on the side.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like, where's all this talk about you running for president, bro? Where's all this conversation about, since if you're going to keep talking about Kamala Harris, if you want to talk about, Michelle Obama and blah, 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 why don't you say, you know what, this is why I want to run. Oh, that's right. Because you were never serious about running, because you're not serious about any of this content anymore. You're no different than Joe Rogan, except he has a certain degree of talent.
And let's keep it clear. Stephen A. Smith is not going to run for any office, much less the president of the United States. And even if he did run as a Republican, who in their right mind is going to vote for this guy? Who is going to put him in a seat like that? I mean, hell, the country reelected Trump. So the country would elect the likes of Pablo Escobar if his messaging was right. The country would elect the likes of Charles Manson if his messaging was right. And I don't give a damn if that's controversial or not, but we see what America has done in a case like this. You would think that, considering how Trump acted in his first term and how he acted when he was out of office, and specifically January 6th, you would think that that would be a non-starter for a lot of people, but apparently it wasn't.
And yours atrophied 15 years ago. So I'm not shocked by that. And again, I will never say that the man is not successful. But as I've always said, I don't think he's particularly influential. And there's a huge difference between being successful and being known and being influential. Everything Stephen A. Smith says, somebody going to end up talking about it. I've done it. Other people have done it because he is a known entity. But do I believe that a damn thing that comes out of Stephen A. Smith's mouth actually influences how people behave? Not in the real world. Ain't one person out there voting or not voting because of him. Ain't one person out there watching or not watching because of him. And if there's anybody out here that makes their decisions on what they're going to gamble on in sports because of what he says, I got some land to sell you in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
Well, the other thing too is like, why is Kamala Harris in it? I mean, he brought up, Obama was talking to black men in Pittsburgh. That clip that, my God, I mean, with Obama talking to campaign staffers in Pittsburgh, black campaign staffers, mind you, and giving advice on, hey, I'm hearing there's some brothers out there who may not vote for her, right? I mean, getting campaign advice from Barack Obama is like getting basketball advice from Michael Jordan. He's a 2-term president, right? But why is Kamala in it? Well, and you know what? Stephen A. Smith, I'm going to say his name too. Bernie Sanders, 2 different people. Why is Kamala still in it? Kamala has laid low. She did one interview with Stephen Colbert. She don't talk about nobody. Like, I hope in her book she slams somebody, because I don't understand why y'all keep bringing her up. It's just crazy to me.
Because
Jason is about to answer that question, but I'm going to answer it as well because I feel the same way. The reason they're bringing her up is low-key shade because she lost. It's simple.
Because first and foremost, these folks are triggered by black women. And I'm not even going to get into the stereotypes here. It's not even that they're triggered by powerful. They're just triggered that black women get to have a say in public discourse. Like, I think at their core, a lot of these dudes are just uncomfortable with the fact that they can't, that unlike on ESPN where Stephen A. Smith can tell everybody to shut up, or if somebody gets the best of him, shout out to Monica McNutt, that he just sort of excludes them for months on end. He is inherently uncomfortable with being in environments where he cannot dominate the discourse or change the parameters upon which anybody else gets to talk. He doesn't like the fact that Michelle Obama can say anything about him. And again, it wasn't particularly insulting. He doesn't like the fact she can say something about him, and he can't tell a producer to cut her mic. He can't tell anybody, he can't tell Kamala Harris, you're not allowed to go on the Colbert Report. He can't do that. A lot of it is sort of pathetic control issues. And look, I've already, you know what my opinion is of sort of Bernie Sanders in general. I think there's a lot of people out there who, look, and myself included, I have my criticisms of people in 2024. I have my criticism to Joe Biden, but I think there's a lot of people who they want to jump up and down on Kamala Harris because she lost, when the reality is there were circumstances in the party as a whole, right? I don't want to hear from anybody what she did or did not do. Did you know that Joe Biden was stuttering the way he was? Did you know Joe Biden was kind of clocking in and clocking out the way you did? Did you not say anything about it? If you were part of that, then you were part of the problem. Kamala Harris did the best she could with the circumstances. You put her in the game when you were down 15 points with 2 minutes left. Right. She ain't Steph Curry, right? Like, what did you expect her to be able to do? So yeah, that's what a lot of that sort of comes from. And Harris deciding, because this happened, 2 weeks ago, that she's not going to run for governor. Fine.
Yeah.
I don't think she should run for governor.
Yeah.
First off, that's a massive step down. But also, again, I mentioned this on my YouTube, it's like, the governor of California is basically going to be the leader of resistance against this regime. It's a donor state. It's the biggest state in the country. They give more in taxes than they take in resources. They have a lot of power and a lot of businesses that are focused here. And so if you are governor of this state, Donald Trump will have a target on you as long as he remains in power. Why on earth would she want to go do that with less resources than she had when she was actually sitting in the White House? I hope somebody else runs. I hope somebody else is successful. I hope that what Gavin Newsom is trying to do now with this sort of Thanos snap situation where he's, going to gerrymander these districts in response. I mean, I just think I understand why she's not running. And I also see why these often pathetic people who don't have any other options can't keep her name out their mouths. But it's sad. And I'm going to say this also, Clay, because this is literally a conversation I was just having. I don't appreciate and I don't respect silly, pointless debates in the context of fascism. I don't want to hear a damn thing you've got to say about finger waving in the face of anybody when you're talking about a regime that has come into power that is attempting to militarily occupy cities that are enemies of the president and yank people off the streets after snatching their citizenship away. We're not talking about undocumented people. We're talking about people in this country who were documented, who had their paperwork together, and you're snatching them off the street. You're snatching them out of schools. You're snatching them out of immigration buildings where they're filling out their paperwork. And you want to talk about effing finger waving? You want to talk about finger waving? You want to talk about, did she go to Michigan enough? Shut the hell up. And I don't care if that's Stephen A. Smith. I don't care if that's the certain debate shows that they often seem to have on the air or certain YouTube channels. Stop that crap. Stop it. It's ridiculous. It is arguing about the menu as the Titanic is sinking. I don't care if the scalps were a little bit cold. We hit a damn iceberg.
Amen. I agree with everything that he said to close that out. And speaking of closing this out, I'm just going to say one thing before I do so on my end. I'm pretty sure we're going to hear it at some point. Hell, we might start hearing it at the end of this year. We might start hearing it going into the 2026 midterms. Who knows? But personally, I don't want to hear Kamala was right, because we knew she was right then in real time when she was saying all this stuff and making all these predictions, as well as everybody else who said that these things were going to happen. So we remember Hillary was right. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get Kamala was right. But at the end of the day, I personally don't want to hear that, because you know what? We had an opportunity in 2016 and an opportunity in 2024 to make history. The country decided to go in a dramatically different direction. Anything resembling Kamala was right all along, and we should have listened and we should have did this and that, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, you can save it, because it's too damn late now. And on that note, I'm going to close the video. If you like what you heard, and you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that like button and drop some comments if you're feeling the content. Let me know your thoughts on this video. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos. And until next time, my people, take care of yourselves. And remember, the power of the mind is valuable.